We have prepared two business cases. The first one is related to the civil works in the nuclear power plant. This is the tender that we launched 3 years ago, and was the scope was seismic reinforcement of the buildings in the nuclear power plants. And just to provide you, let's say, the details. So in the pre-tender analysis, we did not do the design to cost. But in the pre-tender analysis, because we always ask our buyers to prepare sort of pre-tender analysis in order to understand how to define the tender strategy. So the main output was that we aggregate basically the scope, which was at the beginning, let's say, split it in several parts, which basically does not give us the clear understanding, but was done on the basic design. This is important to say, and of course the procurement professional or the procurement specialist does not change the basic design. They just can somehow work with the configuration. So, and we understand that there are 3 suppliers in the pre-tender analysis. So we ran the tenders. There was at the end 5 suppliers. We were able to align the bids on the level of 2.6 to 2.9 million of euro, and after, let's say, commercial negotiation, we arrived to 2.5, which is already in the budget of the project. So we ran the e-auction, which was actually classic one, the English standard auction, and we end up in the value of 2.4 million for 2.44 million of euro. But what happened was that since there was not the, let's say, detail analysis like we do in many cases, sort of design to cost analysis to understand the scope, and we get the knowledge from the scope, let's say, during this tender. We got the hint from the buyer that okay, we are in the budget, but he was convinced. He still believed that we can achieve the better result. So we listened carefully. We made the analysis, and what we did, I will show you right now. So please go on.
Yep. Peter, I mean, before we move on, so just to make sure that I got it right, you got bid alignment on 2.6 million euros when they started the e-auction, and then you end up 244, which means you saved 160,000 euros.
No, I mean, the bids, there were 5 bids, and they were in the range of 2.6 to 2.9 million euro. During the bid alignment. So the difference can be done by using the different technology. Of course, there was a basic design, not the detailed design. So you have to be aware of this fact, because if you do not have the detailed design and you are working with the basic design, there can be the discrepancies between the offers. So the bid alignment that we arrived basically was focused on the fact that if everybody understood the scope, if everybody understood basically the assignment and the technical specification, and of course the 300,000 euro between 2.6 and 2.9 represent the way and the different way of construction that the companies use, because basic design doesn't provide you, for example, the specific technology that they have to use for the work. So basically, this basic design allows the suppliers to use the different technology, and the different technology of the civil work creates these discrepancies between the 2.6 and 2.9 million euro.
That makes perfect sense, and that's actually related to one of the questions that we have from the Etini. And then, how do you manage e-auctions on tailor-made machine when suppliers cannot propose similar solutions? Well, I understand the solution was similar. I mean, but the remaining part of the question is, in CAPEX, price is not the only point of decision, delivery time, reputation. So, Peter, the question is, how did you, I mean, did you consider those aspects here also?
Yes, because usually we even see, because this perfectly provides to the suppliers the freedom to provide the best solution. Of course, who provides the best solution? I mean, with the keeping and meeting the technical requirements and legislative requirements, I mean, is the winner. So basically, we know what is our task. We know what is our target, and the target is the seismic reinforcement of the building. So the technology used during the civil works is basically the advantage that can create every supplier. So we don't see with such kind of approach any mistakes.
Right, and then here's also that in the pre-tender phase, you see here that you had 3 suppliers, but then in the tender phase, there's 2 more. So how come?
Because we try to, the pre-tender phase is pre-tender phase. We invite some suppliers, some participate, some no. Then the tender phase basically means that we are publicly announcing basically the tender procedure on our website, and basically it ends up that the difference between the pre-tender phase and the tender phase are 2 new suppliers. It's
right.
Not
so in the pre-tender phase, when you were having this design to cost,
yes,
you were doing it together with those 3 suppliers. So you were using their expertise and resources also to help you design the solution.
Yeah, in this specific case, there was not a pre-tender phase in I would say in configuration of design to cost. That's why I said that we did not do in this tender design to cost, and that's why we have the let's say lack of information that is represented in the basically the next steps that we are going to present. Because if we have the appropriate pre-tender analysis, we would probably choose the solution that I'm going to present right now, even in the first round or in the first tender, basically.
Okay. So I can't wait. Should I click?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So so we end up with 2.44 after e-auction classic one. And as I already said, we have the strong recommendation from our category manager that tender, even if we are in the budget, we can do it better. I mean, better in terms of the results. And basically, the idea was just to the ideas come from the knowledge from the tender one, from the first tender. And we understood that the 5 suppliers that intended in the first tender basically show us what is their expertise, what is their knowledge, and what is their let's say specialization, dedication. And basically we understood that this tender, even the basic design was certain and aggregated. We can split the scope into 2 parts, and we launched a new tender. And we launched a new tender with the scope, let's say 1 and scope 2, or part A and part B. And this is the results. So the results basically applying 2 different type of e-auction, which are knowns, basically bring us the final result 2.1 million euro, which is additional 14% of let's say efficiency, procurement efficiency that we were able to provide our company. And I believe that even from a supplier perspective, this was appreciated, because of course in the first configuration there would be just 1 winner, of course, and one realization company or implementation company. In the tender 2, basically we have 2 implementation company, and we gain basically from the expertise and from the, let's say, cost effectiveness of the supplier in the tender, let's say B, let's call it B, because it doesn't matter which one is, and we get basically the better results comparing with the first case, once basically this supplier was as a sub-supplier of the supplier that won the procedure with 2.44 million euro.
Okay. So the one that won there actually used the supplier, let's say B, from the
Correct.
second tender anyway, and this is where this 240,000 euros markup came from in the first round.
Yeah.
So the question here is, I mean, I must ask this question, Peter, on your credibility, right? So, you know, you run the e-auction, but then you say, okay, I'm not satisfied with the results. So I decided to run another e-auction. I would say, how did suppliers respond to that? What did they, you know, what was their reaction?
I mean, this is not, let's be honest and clear. I mean, such kind of cases, it's not the, let's say, recurrent activity in my company, in my organization. Of course, I mean, the appropriate and the detailed pretender analysis is very important, and we don't do such kind of, let's say, changing mind in many tenders. I don't believe that we lost our credibility, because we prove by the results that that we did good, that we did for sure good. We prove our decision that supplier that participated, let's say, in part B, so the new was satisfied, because basically he did not have to provide his services and his work for the supplier in tender 1 and be just covered by the markup of the supplier in the tender 1. So I believe, look, we did not see, and we didn't see any bad reaction. There was no, you know, even Slovenské Elektrárne, you know, we don't launch the tender just to test the market. We launch the tender because we are the entity on the Slovak market that is represented as a serious company, and it's not that we do this because of the joy. I mean, we do because of the added value, and we find the added value. We find the added value. The added value is difference between 2.1 and 2.44. First, the added value is that we basically bring the new supplier on the negotiation table. We provide the references to the new supplier, which is the supplier, for example, B, because now it doesn't matter whether it's A or B, but basically we provide the opportunity to the market to become visible. So, and I think we don't see anything bad. The tendering in the nuclear power plant it's not easy. Specifically, we are speaking about the works, and sometimes we have to do such kind of decision, which basically I find only the pros.
Right. I mean, yeah. So I mean, if suppliers participated and they were not, you know, they were not surprised by it. Okay, so they may say that you will run another e-auction, and then if you don't like the results, there will be another. If they were still willing to participate and trust that this is the right approach, then okay, then we have no damage here. Question is also, I mean, if I understand it right, because you decided to change your strategy for the second round, for the second e-auction, when you split it into two, and that was the result of the fact that you figure out that the winner of the first e-auction is actually using the other sub-supplier. That would, so that was the reason why you decided to change strategy and have two different e-auctions.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Because if we know the knowledge before, I mean, in the pretender phase, carefully understand the knowledge as was one of the source of the information. Basically, we would be able to define the strategy for the tender even in the tender 1. But since there was not the, let's say, design to cost phase and the appropriate pretender analysis, unfortunately, basically, from your perspective, for example, we had to do this second round. But I don't see really. I have to repeat myself. I don't see after, let's say, even 3 years, because this is already done. anything bad. And believe me, we don't have many of such kind of situation in Slovenské Elektrárne.
That makes perfect. That makes perfect sense, and it makes perfect sense. No worries about that. One more question here is, in part A, you decided to run e-auction Nippon, which I think is a name of the classic e-auction on one of those platforms.
No.
And then for part B,
this Japanese sticker or
Japan.
Okay.
And then on the other one, you decided to go Dutch.
Yeah.
What was the reason? Why did you choose different strategies and different e-auction types here?
Look, the part A basically represent or see that in the part A we have the same amount of the supplier as in the tender one, and so we just wanted to, and I have to say that these auctions were not run in the same time. So basically, in a Nippon part, in a Japanese, basically we run this e-auction because we just wanted to understand basically who was the smallest part, first of all, and was the part dedicated to participation of one of the small supplier that participating in the tender one as a sub-supplier. So okay. we were trying to challenge the market and trying to understand where is the, let's say, real cost or real let's say real value, real price of this tender. And since basically the winner of the part A was the company which represented in the tender one, basically sub-supplier, we understand that this is going to be the big motivation for the winner from the tender one to win at least the smaller part in a part B. So that was the, let's say, tactics behind. So from the first 8 part to try to understand by involving of this all small sub-supplier that were participating in the first tender and in the first basically bid, trying to allow them their best, and they did it. And since this small basically jump over the supplier that win in the tender one, basically that was great motivation for this supplier to do his best, and that's why we were just waiting for one click.
Okay. And that's why you decided to go Dutch, because you were sure that he would click just immediately after it starts.
Yeah, because he lost his first part from, let's say, if you compare 2.44 with 2.1, he lost his first almost 1 million.
Right.
Where for sure he has his markup in the tender one, and we understood that since in the part B he will try to do his best, basically to get at least the rest of the pie. I would say.
Yeah, I understand it. So just because you knew the results from the Japanese auction already, then you decided that the Dutch auction would be, because you were able to understand that your supplier would really be motivated to get that business.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Okay, all right. Shall we move on?
Sure.
Peter, we have just a few more minutes, but I think we can get longer because we were also late. Okay?
Okay, I'm sorry for that once again, guys.
No worries.
So the second part was dedicated for the mechanical works and specifically for the safety-related components. Which was the activity, because there, in the nuclear power plant, there are a lot of safety-related components, specifically the servo drives, which is dedicated to this case. And it's in the power plant, it's ongoing activities. Every decade, you have to replace some components because you have to, in every moment, let's say, be certain about the functionality and so on. So. This was about the replacement of the servo drives, a recurrent activity. So we know how was the previous results of the tenders. Always the same group of or small group of the supplier participating, which was very strange for us. I mean, it was the surrounded surrounded group of the supplier, and we almost believe that there is sort of let's say cartel agreement between them. We tried all negotiation method, but we did not achieve basically the best result possible, even because we see that the efficiency of the negotiation, commercial negotiation, was quite bad. So then we try to launch the tender, where we invite some suppliers that we know that they have the evidence, they have the history in the nuclear field in Slovakia, but they did not have the required references. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. And so basically what we did was we tried to think what would be the best approach, and we strongly believe that this is the real time to develop the new supplier. And the development of the new supplier represent for us, and I believe for all procurement specialists, something like real value, a real procurement value that allows to get, let's say, the results which provide to procurement functions the sustainability and even the provider, and which is not basically focusing just the short-term result. And that's why in this specific case, you can see the discrepancies between the offers, and we did not understand if there could be really such a big difference. And we negotiate with the supplier, and we try to understand, and we understood that the costs are relevant and the costs are appropriate. So we decided to no go to the e-auction. If you can click.
Yes.
We decide to no go to the auction. We believe that the supplier development is the best approach, and we negotiated with the supplier something like the value which could represent in transformation to the cost the value that will cover the risk which are related to the development and to the implementation of the new supplier in the new environment, etc., etc. So we agree in the final price, which was 49,000 euro, and we did not do any e-auction. Can you please click on or move on? And my question is, if I use the e-auction, and doesn't matter what is the type and what is the typology of the auction, will the e-auction bring me the same results? I'm convinced no. Because of course, since, as I already mentioned, there was a many previous projects that provide just the one supplier for the value, as you can see, and for the markup, as you can see, we did not want to risk that basically this supplier at this specific tender beat the newcomer for any values, and does not allow us basically to see on the target and the value of the sustainability and the supplier development as a something that we want to achieve. So just to all of participants, I mean, sometimes you have to think twice. Sometimes you have to let's say decide for the long-term results, or for the decision that provides you long-term results, rather than short-term, let's say, output or outcome from the e-auction. So in this specific case, we didn't launch the auction. We developed the newcomer, and after 3 years, we, in this specific segment of replacement of the servo drive, we went down for almost 50%, and we still keep this level of the cost even in the present times, and we are happy, and even the supplier 1 and 2 understand what is the best approach, how to treat the Slovenské Elektrárne, because this was sort of
they learned the lessons the hard way.
Yes, this was the lesson learned for them, and this is something that everybody, all of us, has to keep in mind.
You know, I need to ask this question here. So the price difference was 93,000 euro from one, 88 from the other one, and 43 from the third one. So, you know, those two, the first two, they are aligned. They are within the same range, but the other one was way off. And yet you decided to go with the other one because of the price difference. What you know, what's your concern about the quality or the service? I mean, did you concern about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, because
that was very brave. That was very brave move from your side as well, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we were very careful, first of all. Second, I have to be honest, we believe that supplier 1 and 2, they were in touch. Basically, the supplier 2 was just the, let's say, sort of background for supplier 1. It was just the playing game for supplier 1. And the issue is that we know, or we knew that supplier 3 has the real and relevant history in the nuclear field in Slovakia. So in this matter was no doubt about so-called let's say nuclear culture. But of course there was different doubts, and the doubts were related whether they have appropriate skills to provide this job, and whether they have appropriate tools to provide this job. And we negotiated 2-3 times, and they convinced us, basically. They convinced us, and we finally decide this way. So I think was very good decision. And as you said, we were very proud because not of only the results, but because of the effort that we spent for the supplier development finally pays off.